Oh, come on. Yeah. It's a Mason and Remy show podcast. It's a Mason and Remy show podcast. It's a both of the dudes, none of the songs. It's just these guys talking way too long on the podcast. The Mason and Remy show podcast. Welcome to the show. We know where to go. Put my leg up and show. Hi.
That was an especially good one today.
I really appreciate you listening to it. You don't have headphones on. He had no idea what it was. He had no idea what it sounded like.
I heard the first
Later.
10 seconds.
Later, you'll love it when you hear it back. Welcome to the Mason and Remy Live Podcast. This is where we sit in our office and hang out for an hour while you eat lunch. Welcome, Katie. Welcome to my wife. Everybody who's stopping by, we appreciate it. Feel free to leave a comment.
What's up? What's up?
We will chat about all kinds of things today, including we don't have anything planned.
Well,
do you have things planned?
We've got a Mason rant planned.
Do we?
I think.
Do we?
Yeah.
Is that what you're expecting? Or is that what you're expecting?
I think I'm expecting a Mason rant.
No, we talked earlier this week about, there's so much stuff. Should this be the Mason and Remy Game of Thrones podcast? You've never seen it.
There will be a little bit of Remy in this.
It'll be a Mason Game of Thrones podcast. No, I just got a little upset earlier this week when people were talking about how they need to redo Game of Thrones, and I started thinking about how the world would have reacted if we had social media during the end of all these, like think of MASH, which was like an iconic ending. A baby died in the ending of that show. Think of the outrage, but it wasn't there. It was heralded as an iconic show, and it was just, thank you for making this art. But now that we have social media, everybody gets to go, I'm mad. I specifically demand that you appease me.
When The Sopranos ended, was that in social media land?
Do you remember tweeting or talking about it?
I feel like I remember talking about it on the air. I never got into that show, but I do remember there was outrage with that. Like, there were a lot of people upset about how that ended. But I'm not a Sopranos fan, so I didn't. Apparently, it just went black.
So did you post, I've never seen an episode of The Sopranos? I feel like anybody who does that is just trying desperately to get in on whatever the fad is, but doesn't know what the fad is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen a Star Wars movie. That's great. Move along.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But
the only thing I can compare it to is Breaking Bad, because that was a show that I was really super into.
And how did you feel about the final episode?
I thought it was great. I mean,
if there was something that you didn't like, would you demand that they did it again?
The only thing I didn't like about it was that I feel like it may have ended a little premature, but at the same time, like, you should probably leave your audience wanting more at the end, right?
Yeah.
That's like a good way. You end on the high note, right? So they could have probably gone another 2 or 3 seasons with Breaking Bad, but they decided to end it there.
Are they working on a movie, did you hear?
They are working on a movie.
How about that?
I don't know what the plot points are of that, but I feel like it's more Jesse based.
I also know that Jesse is going to be a part of the new season of Westworld.
Oh.
Jesse Pinkman.
Does he say bitch a lot?
Probably. Yeah. No, I wouldn't doubt it. Annette asked about my leg. Tore my meniscus like 5 years ago. Re-aggravated. It's much better right now. But if I get a chance to sit down, I'm supposed to elevate it. And this is where I'm supposed to sit for an hour. Doctor's orders. Sorry.
It does look funny when you're walking by the studio and he's just like lounging.
My
It
leg
looks
is up.
like he's lounging, but
It
he's
does.
just elevating above the heart
Thank you.
for blood flow.
Trying to. And the swelling really has gone down. So it's getting much better.
It does look smaller even with the bandage on
Right?
it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And the only time I'll accept a comment from a man where he goes, it looks smaller, looks good.
Looks less swollen.
Thank you very much. I've been not working on it. But no, it's it's just one of those things that hit me this week, especially with everybody talking about the end of Game of Thrones. A lot of things are ending here. Game of Thrones is ending this year. Marvel's
Endgame?
Avengers. I wanted to call it the Infinity War, but that was the last movie. And that says she's in a Stormtrooper boot as well, tendon issues. Kathy, welcome. Good to see you. But yeah, I am healing. So Game of Thrones ends this year. I just mentioned Avengers ends. That's a 10-year, 20-movie story arc.
Yeah.
That ends this year. And Star Wars is going to end this year. Or is it? They announced a new movie about the Old Republic. You have no idea. You have no idea.
But is this
Revan,
is it
Malik.
is it original canon?
Thousands of years before there even was a Vader. This is when the Jedi Empire, they were rulers of the land.
So is this an offshoot then, or would this be in the same vein as the Rogue?
No. So that's so everything from the Phantom Menace, the first episode 1, Darth Maul, young Anakin, all of that, Qui-Gon Jinn. You're like, what? Bless you. Phantom Menace all the way to what is about to be the Rise of Skywalker, I believe, or is probably, I want to say, maybe think of Anakin to be about 40, and then maybe it's about 80-year span, right? In that time, in that story of Naboo to the Clone Wars to Anakin becoming Darth Vader. That's like 20 years. And then as he gets older, the Emperor, Rey, and the next, Finn and Rey and Kylo Ren, that's all another 20, 30 years in the future. So it's about a 50-year, think of Luke Skywalker's time span. He's the son of the kid in the first one. So this next movie that's coming out, I know you're glued to your everything right now. The next movie that they're working on is Knights of the Old Republic, which takes place in the Old Republic, which is like hundreds, if not thousands of years before that even happens.
Okay.
So it's way, way back. When they say it's a dark time, the Jedi, I thought they were fallen. Like, it's a legend, you know what I mean? It's because thousands of years in the past, it was all Jedi, you know what I mean? And yeah, why am I babbling?
No.
Right
I'm interested.
I just saw today.
It sounds to me like this will be an entirely new cast of characters. Like there's not going to be any layover. Yoda maybe?
No.
Yoda's,
I don't think so. No, I think this is way before there's a Yoda.
Okay.
This is the best part of me is this is all based on a video game. The Knights of the Old Republic video game was like in its day one of the best games and a lot of people still say one of the best games of all time.
What console?
One of the first choose your own path Star Wars games where you play Revan, who can either go to the light side or you go to the dark side, and there's a storyline for each. And it was in a time when you didn't offer that. Video games were linear. You followed the path they gave you, and then they said, good job at the end. But this, you kind of got to choose your own path. And it's becoming a movie, and that's fantastic. And I believe it's available on most consoles. It's an old game. It's from the 90s, maybe even early 2000s. But
so would that be what, Nintendo 64?
I could look it up, but it was on PC and I think it's in like game stores where you can go into like the Xbox store and find it. It's that old that they're just like, you can run it on your phone. It's one of those, like at the time it was cutting edge, and now it's like I could download it for $1.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but that's the next I think phase of the Star Wars situation, and possibly some Boba Fett stuff. The Mandalorian I think is a thing that's a TV show. But
how do you hold auditions? Annette just posted that they're having auditions for Stormtroopers in Disneyland. I guess the only requirement for that would be what kind of an athletic build and exactly the same size.
Yeah, they do want their
height wise.
They do. Yeah, there's a joke in one of the Star Wars movies where she says Luke Skywalker is a little short to be a stormtrooper, and he's like, "What? Oh, this? Like, yeah, I stole this uniform." But yeah, I'm sure that there's. And also, how are you sweating in plastic?
Yeah,
you got to be good at that.
Yeah.
My wife said it's the last season of Orange is the New Black. This coming up here in a month or two.
Did you guys fall out of that?
Remember that show?
Did you fall out of that?
I stopped looking for it a couple seasons ago. The wife and I were watching it. Yes, there was a riot in the show, like a prison riot, right? And then they held a talent show in the middle of the prison riot, and I was like, okay, this is kind of where I'm losing. Not that I need everything to be like amazingly accurate and realistic. I just went on a tangent about Jedi, but I'd like it like. If you're in a prison riot and there's a SWAT team outside, you're not going, and now the singing portion. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just run its course. And we'll see what they do in the last season. That's what's coming up here, and how people will be upset about how it comes out. I wonder if they will. Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with everything, I feel like every single everything you post on social media now will have some sort of other side, right? So
yeah, and I
that's
understand
every post that we post on,
Sure.
just on the New Country
we
page.
and we understand that as people who create things, that when you put something out there, it opens it up to criticism, and we know that and accept that. But you might want to shut that window behind you. I just realized you're a little dark. Can't really see your face. You got a hat on. I want to see your pretty face. It's up to you. But I just realized that. And the color is all off on my camera, by the way. If you're just listening to this, you're missing the video podcast where you can see Remy struggle with a window treatment. Is that a treatment?
How's that feel?
I mean, it's your face, Bubba. Do you feel good about it?
Does that look better?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Cool.
you're more state. Solid.
Return to my vampire office.
But yeah, what else is going on? I'm talking a lot.
We got Memorial Day weekend, of course. I don't know if you've got plans. We've got my mom and sister are in town. My sister this is the first time she's seeing the new house in almost a year, which is crazy. But they're up in Chicago, so Lauren has the house spick and span. I was cleaning floors this morning, vacuuming everything to make sure that the house is show ready for my sister.
Hold on. Sorry, did you just say Lauren has the house spick and span? I was vacuuming. It sounds like you.
No. She did an amazing amount of work yesterday.
Okay.
So we have 2 rooms in our house that have just become like the catch-all rooms. There's one in the basement, and there's one up on the main floor, and they're just rooms that we haven't utilized yet. So there was boxes, and she's going through like wedding stuff and sending me photos of my scuba diver certification card that I was looking all over for before we went to Disney, and she found that. I was like, oh, that could have saved me $60 if I would have known where that was.
Yeah.
But she went through a whole bunch of stuff. So I got to say shout out to Lauren. My work paled in comparison to what she did with the house. But
Hi, Colleen.
Haley's coming. That's my sister, and I'm excited to have her at the house. It's crazy. The 5-hour time, the 5-hour trip that it takes to get from where she's at, which is north of Chicago, to St. Louis. It's a bear of a ride, and she's finally getting down. So we're gonna celebrate this weekend. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna have all the friends over on Monday for a barbecue without a grill. So our old house had a natural gas line hookup to our grill. So you buy a grill that is natural gas ready. So you basically just hook it right up to the house gas line. And this new house that we have is all electric. So there's no gas line whatsoever. And I was like, well, I can just get a conversion kit and just put the propane tank underneath. It'll be fine. And I did some research, and it's a Weber grill. And I went to Weber's website, and they're just looking for a Weber conversion kit.
Weber site.
Yeah, and they were like, they have this whole article up, like we don't have a conversion kit because there's too much liability. Essentially, it's not just an easy hose fix. You know what I mean? From propane to natural gas. So I didn't want to chance it. There's DIY videos on YouTube on how to do it, and I was like, I don't know. So I went ahead and I sold that on Facebook. 5 days before we're supposed to have a bunch of people over and cook things. So it sounds like we're just gonna get a bunch of fried chicken now from like Schnucks or something.
Okay. All right, let somebody else do the barbecue.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
I don't even know how to barbecue. I would not trust myself to cook food on an open fire. But you do? Do you do the cooking? Are you the grill master?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't think I've ever really cooked for our entire maybe once or twice I've cooked for our entire group, but yeah, I like to grill. And what's interesting is, and maybe I'm the only one that finds this interesting, but my dad had mentioned this grill brand called Blackstone. And essentially what it is it's an outdoor griddle. So it's a trend of grilling called griddling, where you go outside and it's like, so the Hot and Now griddles that you guys have.
Yeah, no, I know what a griddle is.
Yeah, that you made the hamburgers on.
I've seen
basically
these.
Take
it's a little pop up. I've seen these.
Basically take that and put it outside.
Sure.
And it's a whole, like, you go to Facebook, there's griddle groups, there's like YouTube videos on how to make smash burgers and all these different things. It's really awesome.
It sounds like you're just taking a giant pan outside.
Exactly. So I'm a little like, is this really grilling at this point? But
Right.
it was affordable, and because Dick's Sporting Goods isn't doing too good right now after they've taken firearms out of their arsenal, pun intended, of products, they're not doing so hot right now. And so they're running some mad sales right now. So I ended up getting a
Unless you want Blues playoff gear.
yeah, right.
That is not on sale.
It's so weird. Anyways,
That's all they got right now.
yeah. So that's coming, and it'll be here on Tuesday. So the day after Memorial Day is when that grill will arrive.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So we're doing the fried chicken for Memorial Day. You guys doing anything?
No,
over the
we are
weekend?
we are the exact opposite humans. You and I.
Oh, I know.
It's just funny that you're like, I'm having people over. I'm cooking food for people, and I was like, never. I will never do that. I never want that.
You did once.
I don't need.
Thanksgiving.
It was when I learned my lesson. Because it was my family too. No, it's just no. I haven't seen my wife in a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to split time with her with someone else. First off, and that's real hard because we're in two places. Keaton got out of school this week, so she's been with him, and then she had to work a couple of days. I've been here. My knee is a mess. I've taken advantage of my wife being out of town by putting the bottom part of the adjustable base of my bed up so I can sleep with my leg up. It's just, we're a mess right now. My wife her shoulder has been hurting. The last thing we want is people to come over and experience us. You know what I mean? I know I speak for myself. I know I'm bad enough by myself. You know what I mean? And I'm like suffering through this, and I'm trying not to make it a thing, but it affects everything, you know? Yesterday, the elevator was out at work, and I was pretty sure I re-aggravated because I had to go up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I thought I pushed myself too hard. I had a popping in my knee. It's just annoying.
It was that instant ice that fixed it. You got up the stairs, and you were like, I need ice now.
I was worried about it. I'm afraid. Like, this is my biggest fear is not failure or going broke. It's falling. Because it'll end like that.
Someone tapping your knee in the wrong way.
Just like my knees not being able to support me. I used to be a lot heavier. My brother was always a heavy guy, and I saw the health problems that came with it, and I worried, you know. And this is dumb because it's like I turned my leg the wrong way, and now I can't stand upright.
That's all it takes.
And it's affected going up the hill at the amphitheater. It's affected work every day, and it's an invitation for people to go, oh,
That's your entire life.
are you okay?
But I mean,
I appreciate the concern.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I have always said thank you for asking to anyone that has asked. I know you're sick of hearing the story.
No, I love it.
You're also a liar. I'm sick of telling the story, but I also understand it's a conversation point. Like, people want to connect with you, and I don't want to turn that away and be like, leave me alone, shut up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I look at it like that person that you know that walks by you and goes, oh, worldwide corals.
Oh, they just read your shirt.
It's just a very obvious thing.
Yeah.
And I have had more in-depth conversations with people about it, their experiences. That's what I like to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know you had surgery on your knee. My doctor says I don't need surgery.
That's a crazy thing, and I want to touch on this real quick because if I won't touch your knee, I promise.
I'm so afraid of that.
If I would have injured my meniscus this year or last year, I wonder if they would have still recommended surgery or not, because your doctor said that they were very quick to just fix it with arthroscopic surgery, however you say it. They were very quick years ago.
Yeah.
If you have any kind of tear in your meniscus, to just, cut it off or whatever. But your doctor said that they don't do that as much anymore?
Yeah, she said they used to be real quick to say, oh, let's just cut you open and let's just figure it out. I also believe that the medical industry is all sham, and they will take your money if you let them. But she said it's not that bad. And like, how do I go in there and go, it doesn't hurt? Oh, you need surgery.
Yeah.
There's no pain. It's just fat. It's just fluid. And she told me, the tendons, the fluid, it's all protecting a very small tear. And she said, did you get an MRI? I did 5-6 years ago when I did get, I went to the hospital for it because we were out all weekend at an event, and a firefighter was like, that could be a blood clot. You might be a little something serious. So I went to the hospital. They did an ultrasound. They did not see a blood clot. They gave me blood thinners. It cleared out. I went to a doctor. They gave me an MRI, and I saw the little hook in there. There's a little hook of scar tissue in there where it tore and where it's healed. She said, this might continue to bother you in the future, or it might not. But I don't think surgery is a thing you need. And I was like, cool, great. I don't need to be, how do I do surgery? How do I get to work? How do I get up and down stairs to this? What if the elevator was out? Like, you'd have crutches. It still would suck.
Yeah. Well,
and I'd have like a several $1,000 bill I'd have to pay.
I think when I had surgery, I was only on crutches for about 4 or 5 days.
Really?
So you're still mobile. It's meniscus.
It took me, it feels like, more time to get full range back. Than
Well, I mean, it
full
all
of
depends.
steroids?
Obviously, every
Give
single
steroids, don't they?
every situation is different, and the severity of the tear is different as well. But yeah, I think I wasn't running until probably 6 months after the surgery. So like I was heavy into half marathons and running long distance at that point, and I wasn't doing that until 6-8 months afterwards. But
yeah, I remember you telling me that, and I remember when I tore the meniscus the first time, it probably took a good 2 years till I was like ready to go. Okay, I can run. And she said it might be that again, but she said that they have found that like the knee will heal itself, and that it's more of just an annoyance than anything else for me in this. And she wouldn't recommend surgery. Yeah. She said you can go back for another MRI if you want, but it's expensive. And then you might be able to have the surgery, but it's expensive. But if it's healing like I told her it was healing, with just prescription ibuprofen, you know what I mean? Do you need to cut me open and take me off my feet for 3 to 6 weeks or whatever it is?
Yeah. I tore my meniscus when we were in New Orleans in college. We were in a break. I was there for an alternative spring break. We like gutted houses after Katrina or something, and we were like in a lull, and so we got a touch football game going out in this patch of grass. And it's co-ed, and it doesn't matter, and the game doesn't matter, and none of it matters, and I took it way too seriously.
Nice.
And I caught the ball, and I was trying to get around somebody, and I went and tried to fake right and go left, and as I faked right, all of that weight went directly onto that knee, and something happened.
Did you just topple over?
I just fell over, yeah. And so for the rest of that trip, I was like, well, I don't want to go to the hospital here because I don't know if that's in network. I don't know how. Because I was on my parents' insurance at the time. Yeah. And so we went down to the French Quarter for just like our tour day, and I bought a cane at one of the local shops because it was that bad where I probably shouldn't have been putting weight on it, but I still wanted to proceed.
My brother walks with a cane, and he's only 7 years older than me, and my dad was like, "Did you get a cane?" It's like, why does everyone want? Why are you pushing canes? Who pushes canes? I'm not even 40. You. Oh.
Well, it helped me get through the couple days.
Was it just because you didn't want crutches anymore? I would rather do crutches than a cane.
I didn't have crutches then. It was undiagnosed. Okay. It was undiagnosed up until about a week when
you didn't even get prescribed a cane. You were like,
I was in New Orleans. I know.
It seems like a very New Orleans thing to do.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But I go
a cane shop right there.
I go into these shops, and the shop owners would be like, "Why you want a cane? You're like 19 years old. What are you doing?" So yeah, I went to the doctor, and they said, "You have a meniscus tear. We're going to operate." And so they did. Eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this, how like you could break your foot, and if you don't get it done right, they have to re-break your foot. You don't want that, right? And maybe that's what they thought was happening back then.
I don't know, but they told me that after there's one of two procedures they could do where they would graft in or try and mend it back together, the meniscal tear, and that would take 6 to 8 months to heal, and I would be on crutches that long, or they could just cut away that spot, and then it would heal a lot quicker.
Right.
But they also said one of the caveats is that you may experience arthritis at a young age because we've taken basically your meniscus is like a gasket for your knee. It's a cushion in between the joint, and so by removing some of that, you're essentially taking away that cushion. So I haven't felt anything since. I mean, every once in a while I'll feel like a pop or
Do
whatever.
you have a little grinding in your knee when you move?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
But it's not painful.
Me neither.
So I'm just wondering when it's going to be like.
She moved my leg and was like, "Oh, I feel some like bone on bone in here." I was like, "That's normal. What do you? That's not what I'm here for." But yeah, I definitely am, and have had the arthritis talk with them too. I did that last time. I'm gonna catch up on some comments here. I just noticed that some people have been saying, "Hey," like Brian said, "Hey, glad you guys came back to STL." He was sad that we betrayed St. Louis for friggin' Chicago. and so as it was sold to us, it was a promotion to one of the biggest cities for radio. And man, I remember him going like, this town has radio people named streets, and oh, it's gonna be great. You guys are gonna be there for 20 years. We were there for 3 and they fired us. And I'm pretty sure that was all part of the plan. For the
it was probably part of the plan.
But that's fine.
Conspiracies.
And then when talking about the fear, Brian said he's having knee surgery in 3 weeks and dreading it. Annette said she planted the foot weird. That's why she's wearing the Stormtrooper boot. She heard a snap. Oh, man. Bad anatomy in her foot, she said. Getting some sympathy sales from the Stormtrooper boot, though. Yeah. You get it where you can. I hear you. I will say that, like, I've had more conversations with people that I don't talk to in this building. Like, I just don't know them. I don't see them enough. And I'll be, like, in the kitchen getting a bag of ice for my knee. I'll be like, oh, what, you know what I mean? And they tell me, I meet and learn things about people.
Brian, I don't know what kind of knee surgery you're having, but if it's just if it's like a meniscus tear or something like that, the surgery is easy. The surgery is like maybe 25, 30 minutes long, and then you're out. It's the dealing with it afterwards. That's kind of a pain, but literally.
Man. Annette said that it's fun to come out of the store with a cart full of shelving and the customer sees me at the boot and thinks, what the heck? Foot doctor wants to put a plate in her foot. Woo! With screws. Oh, man, that gives me a weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Brian said 2 years. Don't tell me that. Nice jerseys. Mark said canes are all the rage these days. Like non-prescription glasses. No joke.
Right, they're in that same spot.
No joke. Keaton has non-prescription glasses. And I gave him, like, we got these, like, little, this is to, wipe off the lenses. It's a special. I said, here, use this because your glasses are dirty. Because he does. They're nothing. He just grabs them by the lenses. Mark said he has 3 canes: a traveling cane, a club cane for the club, and a work cane. That's my friend Mark. He's one of the elite.
Is it like a telescoping cane?
Which one? There were 3 canes. Given an example.
One of them, I would say the traveling cane would.
Probably that
be
one.
Like
it fits in a suitcase. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Annette said it was a sad day for everyone in Chicago, but glad to see us here. Tanya said, "Happy Friday." Mark is laughing. Good. Well, that's good. We have a Friday party jam before this is all over with, which is going to be very Blues themed as we are on our way to the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yes, and you will be continuing. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, you're right.
So you were wearing that jersey, that sweater, through all of the wins that happened in the Western Conference Final.
Hand pass gate. I was not wearing it. So when the Sharks grabbed the puck and were like, bloop, 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 and it went right over here, and they scored. They won an OT. I was not wearing it that day. And then I wore it for the next game, and then I realized that the Game 6, where I was pretty much convinced that they were going to Game 7. I was like, yeah, it's rigged, right?
Yeah.
Even I wasn't convinced. Put on the sweater, they win, and I'm not taking it off till parade day.
Now it's
Actually, I want to take that back. Parade day is going to be a long time after the actual final.
They got to arrange that. There's logistics involved.
If it goes to Game 7, I'll wear it through Game 7, but I don't want to take it off. You know what I mean? Plus, really comfortable, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say one positive about you having to wear that is that you don't have to decide what you're going to wear every day.
Do you know if I'm wearing a full shirt under this? You don't. But I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the wardrobe is going to be easy for the next several days.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how you're going to get through this like 90-degree weekend we're about ready to have.
Well, here's how I do it. I'm an indoor kid.
I guess that's right.
I'm not going outside.
You said you weren't doing much.
I'm not doing anything outside if possible. Dude, I don't know if I've talked about it, but I got a skin condition. So when it gets humid, my pores clog up and I break out a lot, and I have a shampoo for it, and I try not to go outside, and that is like the catalyst of my indoor kid life. So if I'm going to go to a restaurant, we have to go like in the spring or the fall when it's like 70 and cool. Otherwise, I sit outside and I sweat and I just break out. My face turns red. I get blotchy. It's ugly. And I know I'm not an outdoor guy, but I'm sorry about my anatomy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm a nerdy indoor kid.
I would say we get a bunch of outdoor exposure with concert season.
That's the only outdoor that I want. Yeah, and I have to immediately go home and take a shower right after and use my prescription shampoo so my face doesn't turn ridiculously red and blotchy. So yes, no, I'm not I'm going to be outdoorsy.
My mom just texted, and they have arrived at my house, and she said, "We are here. It's 90 degrees." It's like, thank you, Mom. I am also in the same town you are in.
It's probably not 90 degrees where she is. Mark said that, I know, the Wings will always be his favorite. Of course, but he's totally cheering for the Blues the rest of the season. You know what's funny is I grew up in Michigan, and so the Red Wings were always there. We're right next to Canada. Hockey was huge. Mark and I definitely had a love for watching Fedorov, Shanny, Yzerman, Chelios. Deep.
That is deep.
We were deep. But Detroit did me no favors as a person. The town was a mess. Going there, like the streets are tore up. I never enjoyed. A lot of my friends were like, Detroit, what? Yeah, play Detroit. You know what I mean? Like, Remy, you would know, being from Illinois, a lot of people are like, Chicago, but they're not from Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly the same thing in Michigan for Detroit, because for some people, Detroit is all they have. And that's fine. But it wasn't for me. Detroit didn't do me any favors, but you know who did? St. Louis. And Chicago did too. Like, there was a guy who called me out and was like, 2 years ago, you were rooting for the Blackhawks. I was like, I was given a chance to work in Chicago, and an NHL organization sent me a sweater with my name on it. That's pretty awesome. Would you not wear it? Why? Why? Like, how are you that? I don't care that much. And why do you care? Like, you need something real.
Yeah.
To get worried about.
I've posted about the Blues a couple times, and a former coworker at our old station has piped up both times with negative comments for the Blues, and it's like, the Blackhawks aren't even in it this year.
Who's that?
Jacob.
Oh,
Jake.
oh, yeah, okay. Jacob.
Pikachu Jake.
I remember him. Yeah. He called you Pikachu Jake.
He was a Pikachu. He did a stunt for us one morning.
That's all right.
But it's very funny. It's very funny because have you seen the map that someone made where it's like Bruins fans are just in New England area and Chicago
and Illinois. Yeah. Yeah, and I've just always been like, why does so much ride on your sports? Stop it. You know, and I don't want to get into it, but it just was like, let's leave it alone. I work in a city where we broadcast news for that city. If I was still like going and the Red Wings, this city would hate me.
Yeah.
It's like, hello?
Yeah.
Why even question this? I literally, it's like, I've always thought it was funny when you see a news person who's like, well, I'm in this town, but I'm not rooting for this town's team. Like, oh, cool. Well, see ya. Because you're not going to be around here that long. Why would you do that? And the Blues have been amazing to us. They had Mason and Remy night.
Yeah.
I could never turn my back on that.
We have to throw out first pitches for Cardinals.
Cardinals, right? Yeah. We've worked with the Cardinals, and even the Rams, when they were here, wanted to work with us. Like an NFL team wanted to work with us.
Yeah.
Can you say that? I thought it was cool, so I took the opportunity.
Yeah. But I will say the interesting, I don't know if you've thought about this, but while we were in Chicago, not that I'm a Cubs fan, but the Cubs won after 8 years, the World Series, while we were there.
Yeah.
And now we're here in St. Louis where they have never won a cup ever, 49 years just from being in the last Stanley Cup final. I'm just throwing it out there. And could happen.
We'll see.
Could happen. We will be prepared.
Well, Colleen said one of her cousins played for the Blues back in the mid-'80s. I'm assuming that's an 8. Maybe it's a 70.
Oh, yeah, McThompson. You remember him?
Nope.
She's like, he didn't have my life.
Tanya said lots of us in Illinois would like to divorce Chi-Town. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Almost sounds petty. As long as you aren't at a Blues game, it's fine. We're hockey spoiled. We were hockey spoiled in our 20s for sure. Mark knows. Deep NHL tradition of the Blues. Many cities can't boast Wayne Gretzky. That's true. And somebody even said Wayne Gretzky was here and it was weird. And I was like, dude, Wayne Gretzky was still here. Like, just take it. You know what I'm saying? Annette said, I knew as soon as I heard you were headed to St. Louis, the teams would change. That's okay. No harm. Thank you, Annette, for understanding. Yeah. I mean, the initial point of our job is to work in St. Louis. And the initial point of the job when we went to Chicago was to broadcast to Chicago. So why would you, I mean, you could broadcast to a city, right? And tell them about their city.
Yeah. Well,
and then the other city yells at you.
Local radio.
And then the other city is yelling at you, stop doing your job. Why are you doing your job? But we have a stupid job. So my job in the next 2 weeks is wearing this jersey. Stupid job.
It's lucky. It's a lucky jersey.
Stupid job.
We have
I'm just going to go from, why do you care so much, to, I'm not taking this off. Transitioning nicely.
Our front desk girl, Anna, is her tradition / superstition is drinking Capri Sun while watching Blues games. I feel like everybody's got their thing. We talked to a girl on the air who isn't going to wash her Blues shirt for the entirety of the final.
She said, I just hung it up. I was like, you took it off? Lightweight.
But as long as she has it on during the game.
That's what she said, yeah.
Whatever it is for whoever, so.
Yeah, Annette said, you are cheerleaders helping the team, and if the team can help their cheerleaders on the air, so be it. Absolutely. We've got a city to entertain, and if I came to St. Louis going, here's what I want you to hear, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. I also love the Cardinals because I feel like they're accessible. Like a couple weeks ago, we were with Matt Carpenter, Michael Waka, DeYoung, and Jed Jerko. We're just hanging out with them. I don't think we were ever around the Cubs or the White Sox.
It's too big of a city, man.
Once.
That city's too big. There's too much happening there. And it's not like, if you're into that, that's great. There's no sense of community for me in that city. There are several small communities.
That's a good word.
Several small communities in that city, but it's almost tribal in that if you're on the north side, you hate the south side. You know what I mean? And it's like, stop it.
Neighborhoods versus neighborhoods versus suburbs.
Stop it. Also, stop killing each other.
Yeah.
Scary to come to your city. And it is here too. Don't get me wrong.
There's a lot of scary parts of every city.
You're true. Right? You're right. So I live in like Glen Carbon, Edwardsville. Somebody broke into a home and just stabbed somebody. Craziness happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, how about them Blues?
How about them Blues?
There was the meme that you saw earlier that said invite all Boston fans to ride the Metrolink while in St. Louis.
It is safe.
It is safe and very convenient. That's right. And if you follow the news at all in St. Louis, it's not something you want to do.
It's the opposite of safe and convenient.
Right. But we didn't talk about this last week. We skipped the podcast. We're coming into summer concert season. We probably won't do a next Friday either. Next Friday's Dirk Bentley.
Yeah, we have Dirk Bentley.
So we'll be out of the office. I think there's a bit of a summer slowdown when it comes to content like this. I believe that, sure, maybe you're in the car and you can listen to a podcast like this, but you'd probably be more apt to turn a song up than you would to listen to us with the windows down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winter's a little more shut in. People are looking for a little more entertainment.
It'll be patchy over the summer, but we've also discussed maybe taking a look at how the format of this flows and all of that kind of stuff. So you may see some changes too.
And I don't mind feedback. Like, should we get guests in here? Do we need another camera? What should we do? I just like to hang and talk.
We should get a big beanbag chair for that corner over there, and whoever our guest is can.
In there? Over there?
Yeah,
we could just bring the giant bear down. They can sit on the giant bear.
That's true.
There's also no room in here for anybody else.
That's true. I have on my to-do list to clean the office because that's what we look at.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
just a bunch of. It's really honestly, it's like costumes.
Yeah.
/ wardrobe that were needed for some sort of
or
shoot.
technical stuff. I see like a lot of adapters
and Remy's package stuff.
Good 70% Remy's package stuff, I would say.
Just gonna take it home 60, and get it out of here.
60 to
We'll utilize
and squishy tacos.
There's a Nick Cage pillow. There's
Justin Bieber's over there.
Toilet golf.
I see Justin Bieber.
Yeah, Justin Bieber's there.
There's a lot of stuff happening here, guys. But and look, it's absolutely amazing to be able to do this every day, and I really enjoy what we've been working on and towards, Remy, you and I, to trust, to just come in and have fun and do what we do. And when an idea hits, it hits, and we don't force it. It's the hardest part about all of this is trying to be creative, but in the right mindset all the time, especially when you have, like we used to have, 12 people telling you how to be creative.
Because they knew.
Yeah, absolutely. once they came out of their office. Oh, they didn't come out of their office. That's right. That's all they did was office work.
It came out of no. I'm gonna stop.
Probably a good idea.
We're wrapping it up, right?
Are we? Are we? Sure. Do you want to get into a Friday party jam and call this thing good? Annette, thanks so much for coming by. Mark said, Mason, I think you should paint your face blue for a broadcast if they win the cup. Oh yeah, the hair.
The blue hair.
If you're about that, still.
I'll do whatever.
I mean, we were talking.
You know me.
We tried I'm not gonna lie to you. Listen, I had the idea to get a fountain turn it blue. They did it without us. We gave them the idea.
Yeah, we emailed our
this place,
our building,
the city place,
tenants,
city place.
What would you call that?
Landlords. The city place, and we were like, hey, Remy wants to turn some fountains blue, and they were like, do it. And then like later in the day, they came back and were like, hey, how are you gonna do that?
Yeah, and then
we're like, I don't know.
We come in the next day.
It's blue.
And it's blue.
They glued it without us.
They did it without us.
You can't. This is why I don't like sharing ideas. So take them. They'll just steal them. People just steal them.
Yes, this is the downfall to doing things the right way.
Right. Yeah, it is. So normally we would just do it and then ask for forgiveness, but here they have this whole thing about being nice, honest people.
If there's a bunch of soap suds in the fountain in the next couple weeks, it was not me.
Windex. It's blue Gatorade. But that's all something we've been working on too. Thank you. So she said, "Enjoy your chicken." Does she know I'm getting chicken? How does she know?
We talked about fried
chicken.
chicken.
You're getting chicken.
I'm making that cake cornbread too.
How does she know I'm going to lunch at Chick-fil-A?
The fake cornbread.
Annette said it's the only city in the world where they prepare for crime because the weather is getting warmer and school is letting out. Yeah, is that?
Oh, that happens here too.
Chicago, yeah, they do. They definitely they do it here too. Absolutely, but. Listen, it's been a good talk. We'll get to a Friday party jam to kick off the long weekend. I hope you have a good one. Thank you for listening. And if you just pick this up randomly, hit subscribe on the podcast. It's absolutely free. Leave us a rating and all those things. Follow us. It's right underneath down here. See, I'm at Mason Show, and he's
at Remy Radio.
Did you just do a butterfly?
That's a bat.
It's a butterfly.
That's a bat. Look.
That's a butterfly. All right, we are stopping this podcast and not moving forward until everyone that's watching tells him that's a butterfly.
That's a bat.
There's never been a bat.
It's in Batman. It was in Batman in a shadowy figure. They were doing the. See, look, it's kind of like a bat. Look.
Butterfly or a bat? Is it a butterfly or a bat? I have a hard time.
It's a bat.
It's a butterfly. We're having a debate. It's over.
OMG, the Blues did it! Stanley Cup Finals, what's up? From last place to best place, now we're playing for the cup. What a time to be alive! For the first time in 49 years, we're playing hockey in June. I'll toast to that. Cheers. Summer is here, and so are the Blues. Laying by the pool sounds nice. While we enjoy this warm weather, our boys are still on the ice. Last time the Blues were here, you could buy a round for $1 or $2. We never stopped shouting though. Let's go Blues. It's time to celebrate a Friday, yeah. 5 o'clock Friday party jam. A Stanley Cup kind of Friday, yeah. Mason and Remy Friday party jam. Well, will we have a drink from the greatest cup of them all? Will Bennington crack a smile, or will the whole city bawl? Oh, you bet there'll be some crying. There'll be many tears. It's been 49 years. The fact that we even made it here. And I'm not changing this sweater. It is full of good luck. I'm not washing it or taking it off every day. Yuck. Enjoy the barbecue. It's the unofficial start of summer. And the Monday, the Blues better win, or that'll be a bummer. Friday, yeah. 5 o'clock Friday party jam. A parade planning kind of Friday.